truth, or you're tired of being so confused. You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dad.
Hey, Hog Squares here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast, at The Dumb Show, and his website, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Good to have everybody here. Hope everyone's doing well. What's going on in your neck of the woods? How's life? How is all of that? No Olivia tonight. She is washing her hair. I haven't heard that since the first time I tried to encourage her to make whoopee. I had to wash my hair, is what she said. Or at least that's what they say during the old Newlywed Game, if you guys remember that. Called it Making Whoopee. What a great game show. They don't make game shows like that anymore. The Newlywed Game, that was a great one. Joker's Wild, it was fun. Of course, Wheel of Fortune and Price is Right, but yeah, they're not like they used to be. Password, $100,000 Pyramid. What was the Match Game? Match Game was my favorite. I loved Match Game. That was one hell of a show. Mel, thanks for liking. Everybody, thanks for liking. I appreciate it. Listen, if you have not had a chance, we've got 40 people on. It's starting, it only got 16 likes. You can spam the like all you want. That's just for the show. But if you go outside, before you even come in, just hit the like button before you even interact with the show. And that helps the show continue to grow. And also if you follow and share. What are we covering? Well, we had a little bit of an impromptu live where he's a Jersey whore, where Ben-Hur had a fun day where he came on and answered some questions about Joe Biden. Now, of course, if this was the special prosecutor for Donald Trump, this person would be, heaven on earth, would be the most important human being in the world. And everything that he would say would be gospel. But alas, Hur had a tough go of it, where Democrats decided to go ahead and not listen to any of his testimony, just prosecute Donald Trump for things he's not even charged with. Now, you've heard me many times say that Donald Trump is going to be responsible for obstruction. He is responsible for obstruction, but he's not being charged with obstruction. There's a very big difference. I think anyone in their right mind will know that when you have a verified warrant that says you have to return documents and you don't do it, you're obstructing justice. But what that looks like from a penalization standpoint is completely a different story. And Joe Biden's removal of documents and Donald Trump's are very, very different. And I think you're going to find that when all of this comes out, they both have a little bit of to feel guilty about, and they both did some things that they shouldn't have. Joe Biden, on the other hand, broke security measures beyond reproach and took confidential, highly confidential, in their words, which essentially is top secret and SSI materials, And there was a plethora discovered under Joe Biden. Remember, the whole adage was that Donald Trump is the one that had this mountain of evidence. Leroy and I went through the FBI's inventory list of what they confiscated. It was 17 pieces of SCI or top secret material. And some of those included empty folders, all serious, but a little bit different when you're the president of the United States. And to say that paper trail documents aren't kept in the Oval Office that are SCI or TS, or like I've said before, in a non-SCIF environment, Air Force One, Camp David, the living quarters, the residence of the White House. These are different areas where you will see compartmentalized information come to the president of the United States. And that is completely different than Joe Biden taking documents home, saying these are his, denying they exist, going back 6 different locations over 3 states multiple times, and having 18 months to prepare before he decided to go ahead and release this, crestfallen right before Donald Trump. And this all started to cook in that January. Biden comes out and says, oh, well, I have documents, but let me go ahead and turn these over. A completely different situation than what Donald Trump went through. So here's my whole thing. If Donald Trump broke the law, he should pay. If Joe Biden broke the law, he should pay. And if Hillary Clinton, most assuredly we all know she broke the law, she should pay. This is not in dispute. I think most people will say that they want justice for these political elites who never face justice. I think there's a very big difference between Donald Trump's, which was very much politically motivated, and Joe Biden's, which can't be considered political motivation when he is the one that came out and ultimately threw himself under the bus in regards to this and said, hey, I have these documents at my one location, but this is all I've got and I'm turning them in. And then 5 other times we discover that he did not give all the documents and turn them over. So here's what it comes down to. I said it earlier today on the show, nothing's going to happen. This is all window dressing. This is all tomfoolery. Washington doesn't hold itself accountable. They've never held themselves accountable. It's not going to start now. The days of this ended with Kennedy. So if we think that our government, who has the moxie to do some of the things they've done throughout history, is all of a sudden going to grow a conscience and fess up and start holding each other accountable, that would be the end of Rome. And Rome would fall, because every piece of legislation, every intervention, every proxy, every dollar we've given for every project, every piece of legislation that's been signed would be suspect. And this is very much like a prosecutor being convicted of embezzlement or taking bribes. Every single one of their cases, even police officers, would be reopened and reviewed and constitute a retrial, or in this case, a look at that legislation to find out if there was bribery involved or if this was done for nefarious means. And these things can't take place. And you're not going to convict a president. You're not going to convict a vice president. You're not going to convict anyone. You're going to be able to bow out and resign. This is very similar to what happened to Richard Nixon. It's what was going to happen to Clinton. And if there was any conviction of Donald Trump, no matter how much animus they had towards him, they weren't going to convict him either. They just simply want him to step down. And there would have been do it or else. And I think we all understand that if Donald Trump right now dropped out of the race, that all of these charges would disappear, that none of this would be happening anymore. People would celebrate in the streets. The Ewoks would set stormtroopers' helmets on fire and play the drums on them, and ghosts of Anakin's past would come up and greet everybody, even though it's that stupid Hayden Christensen versus the original guy that played him. And everyone would celebrate. The universe would be whole again, according to Democrats. But in the end, even if Donald Trump doesn't, you still have a rat-infested swamp in Washington, D.C. That's my opening monologue. Wanted to go ahead and tell you, let you have a piece of that. You can tell me what you think. Folks, we have phone lines here. My wonderful favorite people on the planet, my mods, will give it to you. You can dial into Skype, or you can dial in directly and join the show tonight. It is open. I would ask that if we're in the middle of a segment, wait for it. But go ahead and you can call the show right there. It will put you up on video. If you don't want video, just do this. No, Matt, no video. And nobody will see you. You're going to be in a green room, and I'll see you do that. And then I'll just put you on audio, and we'll be good to go. And if you want to call in, you can dial into the number and say hello to the show. Let's get to it. We've got a whole bunch to cover. Let's get to some comments real quick, actually. Thank you, Amy, for putting up Link Tap Go. If you've not had a chance to go into Link Tap Go, do that. That will put you in touch with all of our links, and you can also donate to the show there on Link Tap Go. It helps out a lot, folks. We are a privately funded show. Everything is out of my wife and I's pocket, so if you would not mind, we would appreciate it. Carrie, hello to you. I do want to start off with a listener. I got to change this graphic. This thing is, I don't want it to spin in. There we go. We're just going to fly in from the right. Matt says hello. Hello, Matt. Good to see you, buddy. Hope all the dummies had a great day, Kevin says. Welcome to the show. Thanks, Kev. I'm hearing the kitty meow at the end of the show song. Yeah, it is. So if you go back into the intro.
Yay.
Adjusting transmitter output.
And if you can't get down,
Yes, I put a green screen of my cat because Yenny's always in the show sitting on Olivia's lap. So yes, you are hearing kitty meow at the end of the show. Why does this keep moving? You are hearing kitty meow at the end of the show. I think I have these set individually. Everyone like and share. Thank you. I swore I heard it this morning too. You did. Spring break. I don't know. Is it spring break? It certainly feels like it outside. Passwords, Hollywood Squares, the dating game. Yeah, I wasn't too much into the dating game. I always felt it was kind of counterproductive and a little anticlimactic that you never got to see 6 months from now. They're still dating. They're doing the mattress mambo and they have 17 kids and they all wear those giant Coke bottle glasses. Not even close to what they used to be. Love the Newlywed Game. I always loved Clue. Clue? It's a board game. What? What the hell? Clue. There wasn't a Clue game, was there? Oh, you know what else is good is Press Your Luck. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. That was awesome. Love that game. My grandmother loved Joker's Wild. My great grandmother, my Yaya and Papu, they were from Greece. I used to go after school and go over and see my Yaya, and we would play poker, and she would clean my clock. I'd have a quarter, and she'd take it all. And she's ruthless. She didn't speak a word of English. She just destroyed me at poker. I'm just like, geez, lady, you're horrible. Thank you, Sarah, for doing promotion. Mystery Science Theater full of DC clowns. Republicans will be held accountable, but not Democrats. I don't even think Republicans will be held accountable, to be honest with you, Elaine. I don't have hope that anyone. I would love to see Republicans, if they broke the law, I want them held accountable for sure. No doubt. But I want equal justice, and that's not something we're going to get. I love this extra hour of light at night, but keep thinking it's earlier than it is. I just wish they would stick to this. Just stay here and don't ever change it again. Enough. You know what I mean? Enough. No notes tonight. No, you don't ever have to do notes again. No more notes, Mel. You're good. We love you. And it's not that you didn't do a great job. It's I have a program that does it for me now. And it basically reads everything I say, and then it puts it into when I say the word topic, and it's fantastic. Technology is awesome. Let's see what else we got. No whammy. Hollywood Squares. The serial off guy was a twist to the dating game, though. Yeah. Beat the Clock. Yeah, Name That Tune was fun for me. I love Name That Tune. Like, I crushed Name That Tune. And it always sucked because they would do like Perry Como, or they would do something from, the 40s, and I didn't know. But I was, modern day. When they would do modern day Name That Tune, I loved it. Big Bucks, that's amazing with Yenny meowing at the end. So adorable, isn't it? It's amazing what you can do with computers. That was off an iPhone video. And I learned how to cut her out and put her on there and get her. That was her meow, by the way. That is absolutely 100% her meow. That was recorded on the phone. It's unbelievable. In fact, let's see. See, I got a bunch of fun stuff to show you tonight before we get started. Here we go.
Yanni? Oh, really?
See? Isn't that cool? Yeah, that's our cat. She's awesome. All right, so The Gong Show. Yeah, Gong Show is good. Let's Make a Deal. I watched the new Name That Tune, and it's good. Okay. Okay, so nothing like staying home sick as the kids watching The Price is Right. Oh, I love that. With flat 7-Up. Yep, that's the only way. So I got this photograph that I wanted to share with y'all. But first I got to read what was written. And I got to blow this up. And I'm going to put it in chat so we can read it together. There we go. And it says, Beth's got her hat. We're watching her out the window like WTF is she doing? She was so excited. She opened it to show mail lady and she loved it, took a picture and wrote down the store so she can order one as well. Got Pot Pie shirt is hilariously great. I think I'll take you riding this week. This is the photograph. And I believe this is Amy and Amy's mom, Betts. And she is rocking her Make Women Female Again hat that we sell on The Dumb Show. If that's your mom, Amy, you might want to share a picture because she doesn't look like she's old enough to be your mom, but here she is. That looks amazing. And I love that she's wearing wraparound sunglasses. I think I have the exact same pair. And I love the hat. So she went to the store at thedumbshow.com and picked herself up a shirt, as a lot of people have. And the one thing I hear all the time is these are the greatest shirts. And they are. I've had this shirt for a better part of a year. I've washed them 20 times. They don't fade. They don't fall apart. They last forever. They're super comfortable. They're nice and stretchy and cool. You can work out in them. And they're not heavy like normal T-shirts. You pay a premium for that, but they're high quality. Go on over there and see them. It's Betsy. I said Betsy. Didn't I say Betsy? Betts. Betts. Dude, Mookie Betts. Come on. Dude, Betsy. Betts. Whatever. Dude, Amy, she knew what I was saying. Don't frickin' correct me ever again or you'll be sleeping with the fishes. Okay? No, it's not fishes. It's fitches. Got to say it right. All right, folks. Anyway, love the hat. It's gorgeous. Looks great. Tell her I said so. Topic number 1, Reacher and Bill Maher sit down. This one's going to open up some conversation. I think people are going to have some things to say about this because everyone knows I love Bill Maher. I don't agree with everything Bill Maher says. There are times when I question his thought process. But what happened here? Here, we'll just leave this like this, and we'll fix that on each one. You know what? No, we'll put it 9:16. Damn it, you deserve all your full glory. Let's do this right. Let's do this right. Okay. Olivia was going to be on, and then I have to wash my hair. I've got to go ahead and take a shower. So she's doing that. First of all, I don't know if you guys have seen the Jack Reacher. I love Jack Reacher. Books are great. And this, I didn't like the one with Tom Cruise. I thought that was horrible. But the one with Jack Reacher, the new one, is really, really good. And I really enjoy it. Now, the lead actor is somebody that people have been kind of going after. First of all, he is a extremely sharp guy. His name's Alan Ritchson. And he has done several different shows. You may not recognize him because he wasn't yoked like he is now. And everyone's like, he's on roids. First of all, I tried to explain this last night. You don't need to do steroids to get ripped. Okay? I know this personally. You know what? Forget it. Okay? You know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now. You know what? I don't care. We're gonna do this right now. And I'm gonna tell you, I have never taken steroids in my life. Not once. And I'm breaking this out. I have to. I got to defend this guy's honor. If I can find the damn photo. Hold on. Now I feel like I've set us up for failure. Now, people are like, dude, why are you showing pictures of yourself, man? You're just freaking, you're vain, dude. Why are you showing pictures? Because you guys think that it takes steroids to look like this. It doesn't take steroids to look like that. Not at all. And honestly, I've got another 10 pounds of muscle from that. So this was just when I started to peak. And this is when my body fat dropped completely and I started to produce large mass muscle because I started doing heavy weights. That's a 20-pound front goblet squat. That's nothing. It's a 20-pound. I do those now with hundreds. That was 20 pounds. You can get this way without steroids. Now, people will look at this and go, dude, he's roided out. He's freaking roided out. I'm not roided out. I don't take roids in my life. I've been open. I take testosterone because when I got off all that medication, after I broke my back and other things outside the military, I was producing a high level of estrogen and I couldn't build muscle to support my surgeries. So I just got done with the gym right now. I do a 60,000 pound push, which isn't incredible. There's a lot of guys that push 150. You got guys who are benching freaking 400, 375, and they're repping out 5 times 6 or 7 or 8. You add up the pounds quick, but I do a 60,000 pound workout. But I can show you a picture before this that I'm completely embarrassed by. That's horrendous. And I'll show this too. There it is. There's my fat picture. That's 265. 265 pounds. I gained more weight than my wife. I had a broken body. And let's get real here, folks. This is not a flattering photo. Look at that chin. I had like 7 of them. If I push, look at my eyes. You can't even see my eyes. I'm so fat. There are no steroids involved. It takes hard work. If I showed you some of the videos that I have of literally doing a planar on doing the iron cross and on rings and holding myself out flat and then taking my legs, putting them over my head and doing a 360 slow, you'd be like, holy shit, he's a gymnast. No, it took work. I was doing inverted push-ups, feet up on the wall at a 90-degree angle and doing shoulder presses. I couldn't do that crap. I couldn't even walk. My back was so bad that I couldn't do anything. I just sat and I ate ice cream and I got fat. So this isn't even as big as I am now. And there's no steroids. But if you look at that, people are like, dude, the guy's on steroids. No, it's just hard work. It doesn't take much. It takes a dedication to diet and it takes a dedication to hard work. So it's not to show you that there aren't people who do steroids. And of course, but Alan Richardson isn't doing steroids because he openly tells you. He's very honest about it. And he's like, dude, he's got Norwegian, Swedish, Scandinavian blood, which most of those guys have a pretense of gaining large muscle mass. He's a big dude. And then you look at people like The Rock, who's Samoan and African-American combined, and he's got an amazing physique. And some of these guys just blow up and immediately be like, steroids. That's not true. It's not true at all. And I'll tell you, I know when someone's roided out. That is just a big dude. And he openly admits that he's now on testosterone, like I am. But you want to know what happened to him? He hit a peak. And after the first season was all fresh, 100% natural. And then he hit a wall and he plateaued like I did. And his body stopped responding. He started losing muscle mass at an alarming rate, no matter how much he ate, no matter how much he lifted. And it was unbelievable. So he went to the doctor and they gave him a testosterone and estrogen test. And because his body released so much testosterone from literally being dormant, that his body stopped producing high levels and started producing more estrogen and cortisol. So he started finding himself getting pudgy. So he went to the doctor, and tired and lethargic. So he went to the doctor and they said, you need to be on testosterone. That's what I did. I'm 50 years old. I look in those pictures like I was 65 in some of them. If I showed you some of those pictures, you'd be like, dude, what the hell? Testosterone is absolutely, in my opinion, the fountain of youth. It is the fountain of youth. And men who are middle-aged, if you are not on testosterone and you have not been tested, please do me a favor. This is not a commercial. I don't make anything off of it. Go get tested. And you're going to find, like I was, that I had the testosterone levels of a freaking 80-year-old man. And my body was suffering for the first time in its life. Sylvester Stallone, I'm not talking about Sylvester Stallone. I'm talking about Alan Ritchson. We know what Stallone did. We know what Schwarzenegger did. We know what those guys have done. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just telling you, Alan Ritchson, 100% without any equivocation, can get to that size he was in season 1, and in season 2 get to the size that he is based upon testosterone. I'm living proof. Absolutely living proof. So it's important to me. I've already told that story. I don't need to tell that story again, Kari. Hold on a second. So I'm not trying to tell people that there's not people who do steroids, because they most assuredly do. What I'm trying to explain to you is that Alan Ritchson, in my estimation, can get to where we're the same height, we're the same build. He's a little heavier than me, but he is a hell of a lot more ripped than I am. And I've got more body fat than he does for sure. I mean, he's yoked. But if you gave me 3 hours a day and gave me the diet that he has and gave me the time and paid me, I could look like him in 3.5, 4 months. With no doubt, because I've already done it before. I just don't have the time to work that hard. But there is nothing wrong with testosterone, especially when it's done in the right level, is my point. So let's watch this. I want you to listen to this, because this is a really important segment. And the reason why I'm talking about him is because a lot of people are, especially on the left, are just destroying this guy. He's a very open-minded guy. He sits down with Bill Maher, talks about religion, and this segment is really strong. It's why I like Bill Maher, because Bill Maher doesn't have a problem talking about religion. What he has a problem with is people who ridicule him and treat him like dirt when he makes these questions and asks these things. But if you treat him with respect and just have a conversation with him, he's actually a pragmatist. He's very open to having dialogue about religion, and he actually speaks very well of Jesus Christ. He doesn't deny that Jesus walked the earth. He doesn't deny that the message is actually a beautiful thing. He doesn't deny that Christianity, unfortunately, is like 27 other religions throughout time before it that are very similar in the story that is Christianity. I'll make that point in a second. They make this point. But the one thing Christianity does have that other Bibles do not, and other theology does not, is the care of your fellow human being. That is a very unique message in Christianity that is not replicated in every other religion. So they talk about this. I want you to listen to it. Have an open mind, whether you like Bill Maher or not. I think you'll enjoy it. Here it is. After I change the audio. My wife isn't here to yell at me and tell me to do it. Let's see if I can get this right.
You're Christian, right?
I am.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Would tell you that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were disciples of Jesus, the people who wrote the Gospels. And they were absolutely not. Did you think they were?
No, I mean, we know that those documents were based off an older document.
They came later.
Right, yeah.
Jesus died in 33, and the first gospel, Mark, the Gospel of Mark, is 70.
Right.
They were not contemporaries of his. They all had similar names, the disciples.
Right.
So it is a little confusing.
Right.
But I've talked to people who are real, serious Christians and scholars and all this stuff, and they, oh no, don't think that's. I'm like, trust me, every scholar understands this. It's not an insult either. It's just that's the fact.
Lee, listen. Don't judge. Just listen to what Bill Maher just said. He just gave you incontrovertible evidence based upon the words in Scripture. Listen to what he has to say. Because when you immediately start defending, all you're doing is just shutting yourself down and not listening, okay? He's not disproving religion. He's trying to help people understand that the words could be misconstrued, that things that were written may not be set in stone like we think they are simply because they were deciphered by man. And if the disciples of Christ truly could understand a deity's explanation of their mission and the overall views, and the tablets came down from Mount Sinai, was there something lost in translation? Could there be something lost in translation? Were the parables, were the stories, were they designed to have an overall feeling, but not necessarily be firsthand accounts of what took place? Were they used as symbolism in order to describe something to very similar to what we would try to explain to an amoeba on some anthill somewhere, or a protozoa in some murky swamp in the Amazon, and try to use our language and binary code to educate or espouse something to that primitive life form? That's about as close as we can get to the lines of delineation that are so far apart between the Almighty and our ability to understand. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been necessary. So what I'm trying to say is, let's listen to what he's saying and see if any of this holds weight. That's what I'm asking. Trump wins Georgia. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second.
Right.
They were not contemporaries of his. They all had similar names, the disciples.
Right.
So it is a little confusing.
Right.
But I've talked to people who are real, serious Christians and scholars and all this stuff, and they, oh no, don't think that's, I'm like, trust me, every scholar understands this. It's not an insult either. It's just, that's just the fact.
I mean, the big...
they don't know their own religion. They haven't read the Bible. They talk about the Bible a lot. It's a long book. Some of it's boring.
But the problem that I have with most Christians today, and I talk about this...
And listen to the level of respect that is given to Maher, even though he's saying something that is very contentious. That would be like someone saying, well, Christ didn't die on the cross. And, whoa, wait a second, what? The Virgin Mary, or questioning the Dead Sea Scrolls authenticity, or that religion was in Aramaic and several other languages before that and after that, and therefore the word is lost in translation to a point where there is no ability from a logical standpoint to assume it's real. People will be like, what? You said what? How dare you? But I love his answer here, and listen to this. And he keeps bringing it back to Christ's word, which is care. You can say whatever you want about religion, about God, about the Romans, about Easter, the resurrection, Armageddon, Corinthians. I don't care. The message is true from first page to last, is about caring about your neighbor and caring about the less fortunate. And it was a very different tone from any other theocratic type ideology ever in existence, and has been and will ever be. And I think there's something extremely important about that. And watch him continue to bring it back to this, which is great. And even Bill Maher agrees with this
openly a lot. Is that it misses the point. I mean, you can get hung up in the weeds about document Q or whatever you want to talk about with where this stuff comes from, but the point is very simple. You've got somebody who claims to be the Messiah pointing the way towards a whole radically different new way to love, and that's through self-sacrificial care of your neighbor.
Very true.
And when you talk about just that, it's a really beautiful thing that a lot of other religions don't talk about, because you're talking about religions that talk about the way to salvation is through doing it over and over and over again and living a million lives, or finding your own self-elevation, through meditation or contemplation. But this is talking about admitting that we are flawed and admitting that there's a path towards joy that comes through self-service and self-sacrifice. And I like that.
The biography of Jesus is anything but unique. In fact, it's stolen. The number of gods who came before him who were born on December 25th, really, had disciples, were crucified or something on a tree, and then came back to life.
Even Genesis, like even the very first story in Genesis, the second line, talking about the Spirit hovered over the water, this chaos waters, that myth was absconded from early Eastern.
The flood.
So, but the thing that makes it different is there's a twist on every one of them that orients us towards, I think, a seed of truth.
So in the form of debate and argument, it was masterfully done. It's just, I was watching this while I was lifting, and Richardson masterfully gave Maher a small crumb to nibble on while he went back to his point. And said, sure, we go back to Genesis and we talk about the chaos waters and we talk about the serpent or the snake or the demon or however you want to preface that. Showing that, agreeing with Maher that there are certain things in the Bible that contradict themselves or stories that don't necessarily make sense, but then immediately tactfully turns him back. And this is Bill Maher. This is the man who made Religulous. This is a man who patronized religion. But he wasn't patronizing religion. He was patronizing the hypocrisy of religion and the church. A very different thing. Maher openly talks about Jesus Christ being genuine and real, who walked the earth. And although that is up for debate for some people, it's not up for debate for him. He questions the hypocrisy. He questions the people who are zealots. He questions war. He questions people who want to kill others because of their beliefs. These are the things that he questions. And the hypocrisy of our religion, which is focused on love and care, acceptance of our fellow neighbor, and embracing our fellow neighbor. And then in the name of that same vein, killing our brother and sister with malice in our heart is kind of antithetical to the whole premise of the Bible. And that hypocrisy has gone unchecked. And whether you like Bill Maher or not, you have to appreciate the fact that he's able to call that out in a way. And then Richardson is able to not discredit Maher, but agree with him and say, sure, there's pieces, but let me go ahead and bring it back to the premise, which is what he's about to say here. It's masterful. Like, there's only a handful of people I'd want to meet. Richardson's now one of them. Bill Maher is too. But I would love to sit down and talk with this guy. He has impressed me with his acting. He's impressed me with his commitment to himself, that he created this character. He didn't have any coaches. He did all his own diet. Just very interesting. He's a type of guy that would make it on the teams or make it in the military and be successful because he's what's known as a self-motivated person. He's a self-starter. He's gung-ho. He's jacked up on success, and I love that about him.
That is worth inspecting and holding on to. That for example, the real twist in the first myth, in the creation myth in Genesis, is quite simply that those chaos waters that everybody knew, and the serpent being, the snaky monster being the mythological villain, was well known to people at that time, but never had there been an acknowledgement that it was God who created that thing and that he thought that thing was good. And that we're to coexist with this world where things like monsters exist and humans exist. And there's a way to do that in a way that still breeds peace. That had never been done before.
Well, I was going to say, the biography of Jesus, not original, but the message was revolutionary. The message,
right.
Nobody had really ever been down the meek shall inherit the earth road. There were so many at the time that Jesus was around. If he lived, that is still an open question. He could not have been actually a historical figure, but probably was. But at the time, the Greek Roman mythology was waning, so there were a lot of other competing religions. Hey, thanks for watching the clip.
So here's my thought process when it comes to Bill Maher. A lot of people say Bill Maher he's a liberal. He's not no. Mm-mm. He's socially liberal, and he believes in what most conservatives used to believe before we got into this weird position. We kind of gave up when it came to Tammy Faye Baker and Falwell and a few others, the 700 Club, Pat Robertson, and everything else, because of daytime morning TV. And now we have it with Joel Osteen. It's amazing. You just watch history, and history will repeat itself, where the evangelists were castigated from society. Nobody wanted anything to do with, biblical TV because of the sheer theft that took place of stealing people's lives in the name of God. And we saw this in the 80s. I used to watch the 700 Club every morning. It was the only channel that I got on my little 9-inch portable TV that I, had, that my mom and dad got rid of, that was black and white. And I wake up, it was on a cardboard box because we didn't have entertainment centers there. And you put it, and I turn on the 700, and I would watch 700 Club every morning. Every morning I'd watch it. And I grew up on that. But when these super donors and super mega churches were created, it cast aspersions on religion, and that was kind of the start and the fall of people questioning. And then you started to see some other things in the way that the church treated homosexuality. We started seeing the Catholic religion and a lot of the rape of children that hung over the necks of the church. We started to see some of the things the Vatican had done throughout history, and a lot of those truths came out in regards to slavery and in regards to the burning of women, and just some of the shit that came out with the internet kind of changed people's perspective on religion. And then we went to a simpler way. A lot of the churches went back to more of the preachers and the parishes and the smaller locations and more family-driven Christianity in churches, and that was fantastic. And I was married in one of those churches, and people make fun of it. They're like, "Oh, you're poor because you've got wooden paneling in your ceremonial area of the church." And I'm like, "Yeah." And we donated $100 to the church. That's all we could afford, and I'm proud of that. And I think something happened with religion, and now you're starting to see the mega churches come back, and Joel Osteen and I heal you and just that shit, which I believe set us on a path of destruction, of spreading the word of God. There was something very special about that time when it was caring about your neighbor and passing the plate around because you knew Joe next to you was going to get something, or baking a cake or a stew for somebody who had a miscarriage. These are the things that I saw in Houston and I've seen in Virginia that have just been amazing, how people come together and take care of each other. And it's a beautiful thing. And you don't need wooden walls for that. You need a Bible, and you need your hands together, and you need your soul to be right with God as best as you can. And that is what I'm trying to figure out. But a lot of people will look at Maher and hold him at bay and say he's the Antichrist, or he's not Antichrist. He's a false prophet. I disagree. The Bible speaks about that there are people on this earth who do not have that faith, who have kind of strayed from the flock, who are there to challenge and test your faith. But it doesn't say that these people are going to burn in hell forever. It doesn't say that these people are past salvation and will suffer eternal damnation for their lack of faith. It simply comes that faith comes to people at different times through their journey. I believe I'm one of those people, that I make people challenge what they think when it comes to applying theology to every decision they make. And I think it's horribly myopic and naive. And I don't think Jesus Christ would do it. Not that I know him, but I don't believe that Jesus Christ would really care if the Denver Broncos win or if they have an 0-16-17 season. I don't think God cares anything about that. But I don't know him, but I don't think he does. I don't think Jesus Christ just blesses America. I think that would be counterintuitive to his vision and what he would do and what he created. Because if all humans are created in his image, it doesn't really make much sense that he would ostracize or alienate some of them. That all people who ask for forgiveness shall be granted forgiveness. So to sit here and say that, a child who was born in Gaza is going to go to hell forever because he didn't know Jesus Christ, I think that is completely ridiculous. I believe that you will be measured based upon you'll be measured on, thank you so much for the subscriber. I don't know what happened, but whoever you are, thank you. I didn't get to see that thing. Let me adjust that, please. Height. There we go. If somebody wants to resend that, we'll see what that said. But whatever, and whoever, thank you. But that's really all I'm trying to say, is that God had to have a plan for people who didn't find him. I think God had to have a plan for people who didn't get to hear the word. I think there are enough cultures and enough religions that when Bill Maher says, well, listen, there were 25 other, gods before Jesus throughout history and writings, and that specifically have some of the same dates and same times and same, oh God, this thing went huge, same patterns of the crucifixion and how they were crucified. And I think, to Bill Maher's point, that doesn't lend credence to disproving God. I think it just creates even more of an argument that if these religions are all so similar and have the basic centrist ideology that there is a singular God, a singular entity, a monotheistic religion, and there was a sacrifice for people, and there was the people turning on this God and ultimately crucified this God, and then people, human beings, had to come and spread the word. I don't think that destroys the religious premise that God exists. I think it enhances it. Because you have to remember, folks, this is really important, is that all these land masses were all together at one point. You can look at a map of the U.S. and you can see very much, minus erosion and minus breakaways, that the continents were all together, that we were pretty much one giant landmass. And there were other land masses that weren't and can't be seen that obviously were succumbed to water or eroded away or collapsed in on themselves, whatever. But ultimately, you can see the pattern of how everything kind of fits together. And eventually, separation would take place. It's very similar to a town which gets flooded. And there's two towns, and they're right on top of each other. And then a new river comes through because of a flood and channels out and then creates demarcation lines between one town and another. And imagine now that over thousands of years and migratory patterns change, that these land masses would be separated by columns of water, and eventually river turns into the sea. We know this. It's likely that a lot of these northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere people were separated by navigable areas that were no longer allowed to be crossed. So to assume that there had never been a bipedal human being to step foot on North America before Columbus is a ridiculous notion. I believe it's completely antithetical to what science, geography, and just the human eye can tell us. So if there is these giant continents and land masses that were separated, that were once joined together, and some of these religions don't predate that movement, yet they're still being told on multiple places, and they're very much similar, doesn't that lead you to believe that without telephones, without the internet, without vessels, without the ability to cross giant bodies of water and separations of landmass like that it's quite possible that there is something more? I think you need to ask that question. If mass information isn't disseminated in a way like it is today, how do you do that? That scared the shit out of me. Hold on, caller. Let me finish my thought real quick. You got to mute it. Caller,
Hello?
You got to mute. There you go. Okay, hold on a second, caller. Let me finish my thought. So when you sit here and you think about how religion was spread from continent to continent. And some of these were posthumous from the Great Divide and the Great Split of the landmass of where we currently know as our continents. You have to ask yourself the question that how do these modern day stories within the last 3,500 years and less all seem to have very similar and connective tissue? And I think it's a good question. So in my opinion, that doesn't contradict the Bible. And I think Maher's point actually solidifies it. And I think what's great is Ritson did not try to even bring that up. He just brought it back to that the Bible is, whether the stories are perfect, whether the parables in their merciless design are accurate, the religious implication of the Bible is to love thy fellow man. In the end, that's what it's about. No matter the mistakes that were made over history or which book you're reading into or which story you're putting together, it all comes down to one thing, which is love. Caller, what's your name?
Hi, Matt. This is Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth. What's going on with you?
Well, I'm going to tell you that this is one of my favorite topics. Religion
cool.
is one of my favorite topics.
All right. Well, what are we getting right? What are we getting wrong?
Well, I'm going to say that a lot of people believe that their way is the only way. But if you go back to all these cultures, like your Native Americans, like your Europeans, they all have a creation story. And they all have the same concept that gets down to you need to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And then on top of that, you need to love your neighbor as yourself. And too many people miss that.
Yes.
Too many people don't understand that. And so they get into arguments as, well, our religion's better. Even your Protestants and your Catholics, being raised in the military chapel, at one point, my dad was a chaplain assistant. You know how they change positions all the time in the military. Mm-hmm. But as a chaplain assistant child, I got a chance to be exposed to like the Muslims and the Jewish and the Protestants and the Catholics. And also, as I've been growing up, I've had exposure to even your Wiccans. And all of them get down to the same concept as do as ye wish, but do no harm. And then also be careful not to harm your fellow human. Mm-hmm. The problem is that a lot of them try to take the Bible too much literally. That Bible was written as an inspiration by God, but the people writing it are not God themselves. That is the problem, is that everybody goes, well, the Bible says. Well, does the Bible really say this, and is that actually what God said? I believe in the Bible. Don't take me wrong. I do believe in the Bible, and I do believe in God, and I do believe in Jesus Christ. But at the same time, you cannot take the scriptures literally. Even the fact that the Catholics and the Protestants both have two separate books, because the Protestants lack, like, I think about the 13 to 26 extra books that the Catholics have because King James decided to exclude them. Right there says that they're not exactly going, because if any scriptures is added or subtracted, then that's a problem according to scriptures. But at the same time, if we just take it down to the very simplest motive and stop trying to get everybody turned to a particular way, but just love your neighbor as you love yourself and love your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, then it doesn't really matter.
Well, that's
basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's really my point is I'm with you 120%, is because I'm sorry about the echo, folks. I didn't know it was happening until I read. So I should have seen it in the audio. So you were echoing, but I think everyone got your point. I don't think it's necessary to understand everything that God is, was, and will be in order to believe in what you're asked to believe. I don't think that's a prerequisite. Mm-hmm. I think that a truly omnipotent being, one specific line in the Bible is understanding and being responsible for who you are once you understand the difference between right and wrong. And that's when really accountability begins. And every human being knows that it's wrong to do certain things. I'm sorry. I don't care what type of life you have. There is something inside of yourself that goes against your DNA and your structure. Same thing with migratory patterns with birds. Same thing with mating rituals in penguins. Mealworms being able to pass certain information on to other types of worms with ingestion. Throughout science, there are examples of DNA transferring information from one generation to another, which is how evolution takes place. And evolution is real. Now, I didn't say I didn't say the primordial soup is real, and I didn't say that we all come from protozoa and one single cell organism. That's not what I said. But what I said is evolution is real. Now, coming from monkeys, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But
that was Charles.
Well, I don't know if it's
Charles,
true. I know what Darwin said.
Darwin.
I know what Darwin said. I don't want to get into Darwin. Hold on, time out. Let me finish my thought, then we'll go back to Darwin. But my whole point of what I'm saying here is that there is nothing wrong with understanding science and the implications to humanity, and then separately understanding theology and understanding the implications of our souls, which ultimately impact humanity. And I think you can have a very healthy skepticism and dedication to both. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's the interesting thing about religion, is that everybody will be on a different journey and a different path. So when we sit here and say that, well, I didn't know it was wrong to kill a human being, of course you did. This is why people are so adamant when it comes to abortion, because it is such a difficult process. And even though you see people wear pink vagina hats and celebrate it and say, I've killed 12 babies. I think those people have a very real problem, and they don't understand the coping mechanism that it takes to understand what they've done of taking a human life. And I don't believe, because I know what it's like to take a life, and other people know what it takes life. And I've seen some of the hardest, most frickin' gung-ho people in the world take a life and crumple like a frickin' piece of paper. And I've seen other people who are frail and what you would think weak, who do it, who don't even give it a second glance. But I promise you, all of them are going through an internal conflict. So wrapping up my point is, you don't have to understand everything about God, because you're incapable. Jesus Christ, God, the Lord, our Savior, the Almighty, He is omnipotent. If this is true, and we believe that the cell and the atom and carbon is the essence of life and science, and that is the deity of science, is carbon. It's the answer for everything. Everything is made up of it, and you believe that unequivocally. Then you must believe that Jesus Christ, Almighty, Lord and Savior, is omnipotent, and we can't possibly fathom or understand His will and His overall wants for us. And if you pretend that the Bible is going to be able to encapsulate that, then your deity isn't worth much. So I challenge people to don't follow the things we don't know and lead you astray. Follow the things we do know, that we do have, that we know are consistent with every other religion on earth. And that is, you shouldn't kill. You should love your neighbor. You should go ahead and be loyal to God. And all of these things we do know, we should focus at perfecting those versus trying to fill something that we don't know. Go ahead, Elizabeth. Sorry, that's my long rant.
No problem. Charles Darwin, a lot of people believe that he said that we were from monkeys, and that is what a lot of people are taught. But as you go up in higher with the history of science and stuff like that, that was totally a misunderstanding. He never said that we came from monkeys. That is something that was a misquote of even Charles Darwin. And as you go up into history classes and become a history major, you eventually get to the point of, no, Charles Darwin never said we came from primates. But it really doesn't matter. It's who made us. God made us. It doesn't matter how he made us.
I want to challenge that, because I want to challenge that, because Darwin didn't say it. He did not say we came from monkeys and apes, but he did compare the similarities between species of birds, of reptiles, and human beings. Overall delineation between apes and human beings, as birds have a lot of similarities to reptiles, and essentially are flying reptiles. When you look at their bone structure, when you look at their appendages, when you look at their overall beaks and the way that they eat, everything else, that birds are very similar to reptiles. And there is a connective tissue between primates and human beings. He did say that. He did not specifically say that we were apes that all of a sudden started to walk. My point is that I look at us very similar to, and I hate to make this so basic in thought, but you can take a Jack Russell Terrier and then you can take another dog and you put them together and you try to have them do the same things, and they're incapable. And in the animal kingdom, in canines, dogs, dolphins, a few other animals have very developed brains and are able to do complex problem solving. Crows in the bird family are some of the smartest animals on the planet, and the way crows can problem solve and actually break things down and figure out how to get to food and how to do things like that. And I've actually demonstrated caring. When human beings feed them, they bring them trinkets and other things and leave them in places of communal areas for humans to have. So my point is that those birds would seem like gods to maybe a hummingbird or maybe a seagull, and they would look at them as they were omnipotent. Well, in human beings, when it comes to primates, there's a very big reason why we have evolved to where we are, and it is an opposable thumb, and it's a highly developed cerebral cortex. It gives us the ability to, over time, slowly progress to who we are today. And I don't think that anyone would be shocked to know that there are certain animals that have very similar traits to humans. Chimpanzees use tools. They build fortifications. There's some primates that enjoy hot baths. It may not be as advanced. They're not driving around in cars and such, but there are points that you can look through the development of animals where they have progressed. Human beings are still evolving. We're getting bigger. We're getting taller. Our chests are expanding. There's a lot of things about us that have changed over time that proves evolution is real. To what level is what's in question, right? But go ahead. I'm sorry I went off on that.
Oh, you and I are on the same page, because once we understand that Darn never said it, but he did say that he did compare us to that, but he did not actually say we were.
Right.
That's one of the biggest things, and I agree with what you said. You just said it in a better words than I did. And that's the thing about it, is that we did evolve. If we even look at our grandparents and our ancestry, because of the intermingling between Europeans and Native Americans and Europeans are not what they used to be a long time ago before they met up again. And even the Bering Strait could be a justification, but even at that point, everybody, as we've met up and we've interacted, we've changed. It's a changing process. This world is ever evolving.
Well, to assume
to
assume that a mass migration took place across the sea, across the Bering Strait, and that there was, from Russia into North America. I think you can see that with the Inuit people. I think you can see that with different, especially in Canada. But to assume that was enough, that journey was not easy. And a lot of people don't even know that. They don't even know that Russia and the United States at a certain time of the year are actually connected by a sea of ice. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't understand that there are actually there's a U.S. territory island on the farthest east of this center point, and to the west of this center point is owned by Russia. There's two islands. We're inhabited. It's one of the most isolated United States towns in anywhere from a landmark. From a point of being away from landmass, this is the most isolated any U.S. civilization is on this island. I can't remember the name. And then there is another island in Russia, which is only inhabited by a few military personnel for radar tracking and things to that effect. But a lot of people don't know that those islands are there, which actually create a line in the Bering Strait from the United States to Russia. A lot of people think it's just the outside outskirts, westernmost part of the United States and the easternmost part of Russia. And then you've got 300 miles in between those two. And it's not true. And certain times of the year, it is completely covered by ice. So, we can have these conversations and we can dive into these, these theoretical ideas. But here's what it comes down to. the Bible specifically says a mustard seed of faith. And it is a contradiction because faith is not measurable. Faith is something that is 100%. You either believe or you don't. And that's the premise of faith. And I think it's difficult for people to wrap their head around. And I think there's nothing wrong with that conversation that took place. It was respectful. Bill Maher wasn't, defecating all over religion. I think Richson's arguments were beautiful, and it brought it back down to what religion is about, which is about love, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, kiddo.
And the thing about it is we've got to remember what faith is.
Well, what is faith? Go ahead.
Faith is believing in what you cannot see.
So faith is like
that is what faith is believing in what you cannot see.
Faith is like wind.
Huh?
Faith is like wind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can see wind.
You can see wind. I mean, you can feel wind if given the opportunity, but it's even deeper than that.
No, I'm just saying you can see now with technology, you can see wind 24 hours, 7 days a week. So what I'm saying,
you can't see God.
Well, how do we know we can't see God? Every time I look at my daughter, I see God. Every time I look at a sunset outside my house, I see God. Every time it snows, I see God. Every time I see an amazing, just unbelievably unpredictable moment in my life, I see God. I disagree. I think you can see God if you look, but I think a lot of people overlook the signs that Christ provides us because they are so bitter and so sardonic about life that they refuse to recognize when he does appear in our lives. And whether that is a deity in a robe that looks like a white man, or whether it's a woman, or whether it's an Arabic looking fellow, or there's a giant place, a kingdom in the sky, I don't know. And I don't know about any of that. But to say that I see things that I can't explain and it has nothing to do with my ability to perform logically and intellectually, that I just can't comprehend certain things, it demonstrates to me that there has to be something higher, because the one thing we know about science and religion is there's purpose in everything. It doesn't matter what it is. So to me, there's got to be a reason why. So whether that's science, whether that's God, or a little bit of both, I think that's the journey that we're all on, trying to figure out for ourselves. Make sense?
I agree with you.
Okay, buddy, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go watch this next segment. It's Ben Shapiro. You'll like it, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Always love it when you call. Can you see thoughts? Sure, you can see synapses firing in the brain. There's monitors that you can see. You can do it through modern day radio waves, and yeah, you can see that. I don't think there's anything you can't see, because now we've come to a certain point where we're seeing things that we didn't even know existed. Certain depths of the sea that we go to, certain types of isotopes and certain types of molecules. We now have a new understanding of matter when it comes to black holes and what they truly are. We have a new theory of energy, but I want you to go back 150 years. And let's start talking about microbiology. Let's start talking about aviation. Let's talk about thermodynamics, aerodynamics. Let's talk about hydropropulsion. Let's talk about saltwater propulsion, or salt tablet propulsion. Let's talk about CO2 rebreathers. These things, let's talk about a microwave. Let's talk about a VHS tape. Let's talk about the dictaphone, the seed drill, for God's sake. We can go back even further than 150 years. So if we were to look and go back 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years, and we were to look at some of the technology that even Shang Tzu had, or the Ming Dynasty had, or the Mongolians had, you would be talking about revolution to the point of, like, it would be like manned space flight to these people. I mean, seriously, just a bow and arrow, a yeoman's bow, a recurve bow would have just completely decimated, like a machine gun would have, compared to people who had a standard 25-yard pole with a standard arrow, who were using, a completely primitive style of arrow. And then all of a sudden herringbone was used, and people started to go ahead and mill elm and straighter, harder type woods. to create their arrows, and then they would obviously add the feather and onto the arrow, which would help with flight and stability and motion and overall speed. And these advancements revolutionize modern warfare. And when we look at it from the yesteryear, today we look at it and go, oh, primitive. But back then, that was like a Maserati compared to a horse and buggy. So it's something to think about, right? I mean, and these are the things that keep me up at night. I don't know about you, but it certainly does for me. I want to watch this next one. This is Ben Shapiro. Everyone knows I think Ben Shapiro is a very smart individual. He's wrong a lot, but there's a lot of people who are wrong, and I don't hold that against him. But this one, he's not. I have been a staunch advocate for renegotiating Social Security and expanding Medicare. Joe, I talk too fast, so I don't know what to tell you. But I believe Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, and I've been saying this for 3 years, and people get extremely upset when I say it's an entitlement, and I've proven it more than once. And Social Security is an entitlement. You're like, no, it's not. I've paid into it. I deserve up. Yeah. Relax. I didn't say that you're on welfare. I didn't say that you didn't pay into it. What I'm saying is it is a government subsidized check. You go, Matt, you're crazy. Well, no, I'm not, because Social Security bankrupted about 20 years ago, and it's still bankrupt. And the United States government, every time they do a budget, buy bonds, specifically that are designed to give money from your taxes into those bonds, and then those bonds are directed to subsidize Social Security and keep it afloat. It is 20 years in arrears. They have bankrupted and borrowed against it so many times that Social Security, if they were to walk away from it, it would bankrupt itself overnight. Overnight, it would bankrupt. So when Ben Shapiro and Republicans are saying we need to look at this in order to stabilize Social Security to be a productive and effective solution for retirement, there are some things that we need to look at. We need to look at, is the government really better with your money than you would be with your own? There should be an option to not participate in Social Security. There should be an option to put your money in an IRA or a zero coupon, or put it in whatever, instead of having the government adjust it for you and keep it and collect it from you. There needs to be a conversation about the age. When FDR, Shapiro will tell you this, when FDR created Social Security and this was instituted, the average lifespan, I believe, 61, 62 years old, but Social Security's retirement age was 65. If you want to solve this, this is what you do. You find out how much money is left to pay a generation of people to a line of stopping point, a threshold, if you will, and say, this is the line. Anybody born before 1974, you have to take it out a generation or two. Anyone born before 1990 will have 100% their Social Security taken care of and funded. Anybody after will now be immediately refunded the money that was taken. And then you have a stopping point for Social Security. And it has to be, I would say, within 20 years to 25 years of retirement age, you qualify. You've put enough in, almost half of your work life, and now either you get a check or you have Social Security. And if you do that, the government is going to have to take a huge hit. We're all going to have to take a little bit of a bite. But this whole thing of trying to increase with the expansion of inflation and the decrease of the dollar, it's not cost effective because the people who qualified for Social Security didn't put enough money into it to be relative to the inflation and the overall cost of retiring today. And that is the one thing Social Security fudged up beyond belief, is they didn't predict scaling. And they didn't understand that people would start to live longer. And when they started to live longer, they got to see a wider breadth of the dollar's valuation and inflation and cost of living increases that were not keeping up with the amount of money that was put in during these people's work years. And this is one of the reasons it doesn't work. And the second reason it doesn't work is because the government robbed it blind. They hedged their bets for the future that by having more babies and having more kids that ultimately Social Security would boom and it would be able to pay for itself over and over. Well, that's not happening anymore. And you have less people contributing to Social Security and more people on government welfare than ever before. So let's watch this and listen to this, and I want to get your thoughts.
And let's be real about this. It's insane that we haven't raised the retirement age in the United States. It's totally crazy. Joe Biden, if that were the case, Joe Biden should not be running for president. Hey, Joe Biden is 81 years old. The retirement age in the United States at which you start to receive Social Security and you are eligible for Medicare is 65. Joe Biden has technically been eligible for Social Security and Medicare for 16 years, and he wants to continue in office until he is 86, which is 19 years past when he would be eligible for retirement. No one in the United States should be retiring at 65 years old. Frankly, I think retirement itself is a stupid idea unless you have some sort of health problem. Everybody that I know who is elderly, who has retired, is dead within 5 years. And if you talk to people who are elderly and they lose their purpose in life by losing their job and they stop working,
they die.
Things go to hell in a handbasket real quick. But put all of that aside, just on a fiscal level and on a logical level. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt established 65 as the retirement age, the average life expectancy in the United States was 63 years old. Today, the average life expectancy in the United States is close to 80. It's totally insane that you believe that you should be able to work from the time that you are essentially 20 to the time that you are 65, which is a 45-year period, pay in, and then you will receive Social Security benefits sufficient to support you and your family, you and your wife or whatever, for like another 20 years. That's crazy talk. That is not fiscally sustainable. Mm-hmm. The notion that if you have to raise the retirement age to 67 or 68, that everyone is going to fall apart. My parents are that age. My parents are not retired. And they shouldn't retire. It would be very bad for them to retire. By the way, it's disrespectful to people who are 67, 68, 69 years old to suggest that they are in the same shape as people who are 65 were in 1940. It's not true at all. Have you met a 65-year-old lately? 65-year-olds are not old in the United States. They're not. 68-year-olds are not old in the United States. Again, Joe Biden thinks he's not old, and that dude is running for president again, and that dude actually is old, and he's 81.
Yeah.
I failed to see how a country in which our entire leadership class is 80 plus is telling you that we should have a retirement age of 65. It makes no sense at all.
I happen to agree with Ben Shapiro on this wholeheartedly. And Republicans are not saying they want to defund Social Security or Medicare. That is a stupid notion. There's one thing that Republicans consistently believe on is that choices need to be there. And Social Security is not a good investment for me. And if I could have all that money back, I certainly wouldn't have put it into a no interest loan to the government, because that's all I'm doing. I'm loaning the government money so they can go ahead and offer a no interest loan to somebody else. Now, you may not like to hear that, but that's the truth. And I will not rely on Social Security, just like I won't rely on my veterans benefits, because I will never rely on government money to make my living, ever. I have never taken unemployment for longer than a month. I never will. This last job, I could have taken unemployment. I refused to. I immediately went back to work. And I started working on this. I started doing graphic design to get me through. And then once that was stable and the site started making money, I've been working ever since. And everyone knows what I do, and everyone knows how long I work. You guys saw me this morning. You know I was up at 6. You know I was working. You know I was writing articles. Had my first article out by 9 o'clock. Had my second article out by noon. Had my last article out by 5 o'clock. This show's ready to go, written and on presentation, and did another show and a recorded show. So I'm working. And I don't imagine myself not working. I imagine myself working until I die. And even if it's not a 9 to 5, there's other work. There's yard work. There's getting up. There's building fences. There's helping my grandchildren and my children be successful. There's my wife and I driving around and going on walks. I want nothing more than to wake up to my wife. The greatest, like where I want to cry, I get so emotional when I think about this, is getting a motorhome and just driving the United States with my wife and waking up every morning next to her in some place that I didn't know I was going to be the next day. That to me is the happiest life of my life. That's the happiest life of my life. And I believe that even though that statement sounds kind of strange, I believe you have multiple lives inside your life. And it can be your job, it can be your faith, it can be your loves, it can be your hates, it can be you in a war, it could be you during peace, but you live many different lives in your lives and in your life. And there's nothing wrong with having goals to achieve after experiential learning runs dry. To say that I'm ready for something where I no longer grow. I just want to live, and I don't want to be responsible for all this stuff anymore. I just want to get in an RV and drive and wake up to the most beautiful woman in the world. I want to wake up to my gorgeous wife every single day, and I don't even care if I see my kids again once they're gone and have their own families. I'm going to give them that life. I'm going to go to their weddings. I'm going to go ahead and slap their kids on the butt and get them to cry during pregnancy and all that shit. But once that's done, I just want to get in that damn thing and drive with my wife and not even care anymore. And Olivia and I have already agreed that we got to go out like frickin' The Notebook, because we don't want to live apart from each other. We've already said that. We're like, we'll watch a show and we see two people in love and we're like, we don't want to be without each other. And even though we drive each other crazy and I'm a complete dick to her sometimes and she's a biznatch and we don't like each other, my wife and I are unequivocally in love and we are never going to be apart. And that to me is probably the greatest future that I could possibly want. Not everybody's built that way. Some people don't want that. They just want to be single. A couple in a relationship doesn't resonate with them. That's fine too. But whatever it is, there better be some purpose. Purpose. You don't have to have a job because that's not purpose. A job is a necessity. But purpose is every day you wake up, you should find a reason to do the things you're about to do. And if you can't address that, or Social Security is going to stop you from getting it, or a paycheck's going to stop you from getting it, then you better continue to do it until you can. Because I will tell you, my golden years are not going to be working for some schmuck. I've done that. I will do this, and when I can't do this anymore, my eyes fail me or my brain fails me, I will write. And I will do news, and I will do something. I'll go do freelance. I guarantee you I could pick up a job with one of these papers, the Daily Wire or whatever, and I could start writing for them and I would be successful. There's no doubt. It's a gift. It's always been a gift. I love writing. But that's not my end goal. My end goal is to get to selling this house and just being in a motorhome. That's it. That's all. I want to be able to go ahead when I'm 70 as eat some steak and some lima beans and then go out and fish on the river and catch my breakfast and bring in some trout and then go and watch a movie with my wife on the satellite inside the camper and have sex at 70. You're damn right. I've told her, I said, as long as we can walk, man, we're going to be doing that. So you have to find what retirement is to you, and it can't be about money. It can't be about money. All right, good enough. Let's watch the last segment. Folks, I got to do promo, but you can't leave. Will you let me do a promo commercial? Just so I can get up and go to the restroom. You going to leave? You going to stay? I got 100 and something more than that on. Would love for you to hang tight. I'm going to show a quick promo. This is for the Don't Unfriend Me store. This is the Collections of Freedom. I'll be right back. Let me use the head. Come right back. We'll rock and roll. Here it is.
Adjusting transmitter.
That's not it.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me.
Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me podcast. It's interesting. I've had these, I don't know, years now. And I've got, 3 independent books of the Declaration, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution of the United States that I inherited from my mother. Leather-bound, beautiful, and they're older books, 1935, 1937, something to that effect. I'll show them on the show, but people see me reference these nightly on the show. And the interesting thing is I've never really put 2 and 2 together. We have a website, and someone asked last night, hey, how the heck do I get those books? Where do I get those books? And it dawned on me that I should provide these. So they are now on sale. They're beautiful books. They're leatherette books. They're hardback, which is nice. They don't have a dust cover or anything. I've used these, like I said, ad nauseum, and they hold up and they stand the test of time. They've got pictures of the framers, founders, inside the books. They make references with different colors to kind of explain things in a little bit of a simpler way or give some context. But these books, word for word, are the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. They are absolutely stunning. You get each book individually for $15.99 over at thedumbshow.com. We also have a bundle over there where you can save $5 on all 3 for $44.99. And last but not least, the pictures you've just been looking at and the video is the Documents of Freedom, custom made by PFC Flags, comes in an amazing, beautiful, decorative box for $64.99. Stop by thedumbshow.com and take a look. They're available right now. Appreciate everybody doing that and sticking around. We are going to go to our final topic. And hello? Where the hell did everyone go? I know what's wrong. It's my fault. Failure. When I was deleting the scenes, I forgot to hit paste. Let's see. We were on topic 3. There it is. So, folks, all these shirts you see, these are the Don't Unfriend Me Show shirts. We've got over 100 shirts, hoodies, long sleeves, coffee, hats, stickers, everything you want. This all supports. 10% goes to the Travis Manion Foundation. Every year I write a check to Travis Manion when I do my taxes, and we cut them a check, and it's not an exuberant amount of money, but it goes up every single year because we give 10% of our profits from the Don't Unfriend Me Show. It's veteran-owned, veteran-made. It's my stuff. I do all the designing. We actually third-let it from another company. You're not going to get shirts from Korea and Mogadishu and all that type of crap. We are very, very particular with our quality clothing and our hats and our product. You can just go look. Every single purchase we've ever had from people who still watch the show who don't, we've gotten 5 stars. Now, occasionally some of my fans get confused and they hit 1 star thinking that, oh, it's the number 1 star. No, it's 5. And look at the comments. Look at the photographs. It's really cool when you go to thedumbshow.com. So go pick up something. I would appreciate it. Last but not least, if you can, that's wonderful. If you can do it, we appreciate it. If you can't, we also understand. But if you could do me one big, huge, giant favor, and then I'll shut up about it, I promise. If you go to this, which is Link Tap Go, which is right there. It's in YouTube. It's in Facebook. You should see it right now. linktapgo.com/thedumbshow, THEDUMSHOW. You can actually see it right down below in that little blue bar. You go there, you can actually donate to the show. It keeps the lights on. We 100% have advertising on Facebook and stuff like that, but your donations help. So if you would not mind, please help us out. We'll call you out on the show and tell you what a great person you are. And even if you don't, we might do that anyway. Let's get to the next segment, talk about that, and we will go from there. Thanks for tolerating that from me. I did an article today, and I figured I would go ahead and show it to you. And it's on the news. The Dumb Show site, if you haven't seen it. It's pretty cool. Every day we post 1 to 2 articles, full-fledged articles. They are well-written. by myself and Amy Stamcombe, and you will get the full benefit of these. They are not extremely long, 950 words or so. OnlyFans subscription. What the hell? I think I just got hacked. Let's find out. There's 3 types of emails that I get. Hi, your subscription will expire. Please renew. You click on the button, folks, you're going to get spam to hell. There's 2 types of emails that I get more than anything. One is from OnlyFans, and the other one is from, let's see if I can find this. And it's not OnlyFans because it doesn't say that. It's onlyfans.com/meta/HubSpot, and they're mass emailers. That's how you can tell. But the ones that I get that are the worst are the phishing emails about Facebook. And those are, you have received a copyright violation, or you have received, they'll do all sorts of things. Like somebody has claimed that your music and your video is yours. So you click on it and then you go and it looks like Facebook, and it's very much like Facebook. They've got the Meta logos and everything. And then they tell you to put in your password. You put in your password, boom, your account gets compromised. I probably get about 100 of those a day. And if you look on the site occasionally, you'll see me be tagged by certain things. And you will see, like it'll say Facebook or Meta copyright, blah, 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 or standards violations of Meta. And these are pages, and they'll do whatever they can to trick you. And they snatch a shit ton of sites this way, and they make a good living doing it. So be careful what you get. Be careful what you own. It's real simple. If you don't know how to do it, you can go into your email, and there can be certain words that you can block. And they'll try to work around this. But what they do is that if you open it and you actually physically go into the email, they can see that you do that, and then they know they got an active account, and then they'll just keep spamming you. Don't do that. When you recognize you can actually open it up in safe mode or anonymous mode, then look at the email and then decide to destroy it, delete it. And after some time, they'll give up on you. But the point is, don't fall for those phishing email things. They will ultimately screw you up. Going to the news site, you can see that there is an article. You guys can follow along if you want. If you can't see it here, because unfortunately, I've got a little bit of a smaller window. But a pretty cool AI image. I've been playing around with AI. Yes, Lee, I'm canceling your OnlyFans subscription. Yeah, wasn't that a funny rumor when one of our fans said, "Hey Matt, what's your OnlyFans?" And then somehow it became a huge OnlyFans myth that I had one, and people are like, "What's his OnlyFans?" I should have done it. I should have just like put $49.99 on there and throw up my front picture and then have it be empty inside. Anyway, so been working with AI, but this is an interesting thing. So I'm going to read it a little bit with you because I think it's important to kind of give you the full skinny on this. So what happened is we've been hearing from officials all over the United States, especially Pentagon, DOD, State Department, Joe Biden's administration. But we've been hearing this from Newsom has talked about it. We've been hearing it from late night hosts. You hear this all the time, that the United States is out of money for the war in Ukraine, and that we're ultimately gonna, be in World War III if we don't continue to give exuberant amount of money to Zelensky. Well, we've heard all that. And the funding bill, the border bill that they wanted to pass, which had, billions of dollars to foreign countries, including Ukraine and Israel. They've said that we only have a certain amount of money or we're going to run out. And then Ukraine is a sitting duck. And then Vladimir Putin is going to invade Poland and all this other crap. Well, the interesting thing is that they found $300 million. How do you find $300 million? I mean, that would be like me lifting up my couch cushion and finding $3,000. $3,000, just like that. And be like, it was under my couch cushion. I could understand a quarter, maybe a 20 in your wallet that slipped out, it's in your back pocket, or you wash it, or whatever. But $3,000 is incredible. To find $3 million from the Defense Department on a $300 million in a budget that is in the billions is still a lot of money. So what happened is Jake Sullivan comes out and says that, and Major General Pat Ryder come out, and they say, we have essentially realigned from weapons contracts. I mean, this looks like the movie Dave, you know, where Dave sits down and they're balancing the budget. And he's like, we're paying for planes and aircraft carriers that we haven't received yet. Doesn't seem very smart, does it? So they're really going to take a page out of Dave that they balance the budget by going to some of these defense contractors. If you save $300 million by going to a defense contractor, how many more billions could be saved if you would stop all the misappropriations of these funds? And how many trillions will we find over the last 20 years when the State Department and the Department of Defense has lost over $6.2 trillion from the national defense funding that the State Department gets and the DOD gets? Can you explain that to me? Where did trillions of dollars go? Well, this obviously is a good start. If you can just find $300 million in the couch cushion. And if you haven't watched Dave, go watch Dave. It is a fantastic movie. So here you are, where they have been saying that they have to pass this bill and spend more of our money, but ultimately they found it. And now they are saying in this, and this is what's interesting, in this context, the $300 billion from Ukraine feels like a strategic investment. And more like a drop in the bucket, a token gesture amidst a broader landscape of financial mismanagement and opacity. It's a sobering reminder that while the wheels of government may grind slowly, they also grind exceedingly fine, often leaving more question than answers in their wake. So what is the Department of Defense and State Department's reaction to this whole shenanigan? It's pretty simple. What they're saying is, this is a one-time thing. This can't happen again. We can't go to the coffers and look at where we're wastefully spending money, even though we have contracts that we've been paying for decades that haven't resulted in anything. Even though we're wasting money on salmon reproduction in Oregon, even though we're wasting money on bicycle paths in the middle of the frickin' forest, even though we're giving money just unwantingly to countries to blackmail them to continue to have bases in areas where we don't need it anymore. That we're allowing misappropriation of funds from alphabet agencies like the CIA who run clandestine, where I personally myself, Mike, Leroy, all of us have seen hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over a career just be handed off to certain areas, buying weapons off the street or buying human intelligence in certain areas. Where are these receipts for this money? There are no receipts. There has to be an accounting for the money that we spend. If you can find $300 million, what else could we find with a full audit? Can you imagine? We have to understand that the amount of revenue that the government takes in annually is unfucking believable. It is unfathomable how much money that the U.S. government takes in and how much they spend. Folks, go watch Brewster's Millions. And that was 30 million, I think. Maybe it was 3 million. I don't remember, but I think it was 3 million. How hard is it to spend money without making a profit when you have that much money to play with? The United States government spends trillions of dollars annually. Trillions. I've demonstrated to you how much money that is. And if you go and watch the national deficit and watch it tick up and see the speed that money is just literally millions upon millions of dollars an hour being added to the national debt, you have to ask yourself the question, what in the are we spending it on? And when you see $150 billion go to a foreign government, $1.5 billion, what could that do for the veteran crisis and homelessness in this country? What could it do for securing our schools? What could it do for securing our borders and putting up a border wall? What could that money do? That's right, 30 million in 30 days. Thank you. Brewster's Millions. $300 million just left the United States and went into Zelensky's pocket, and nobody even blinks. The U.S. government, without appropriating that money, did something just as bad as what they say Donald Trump did when he took defense money for a border wall. At least that was for America. At least he reappropriated defense monies and made cuts to invest in the United States. We're literally cutting from our defense budget and just giving it to Ukraine because we can't get legislation passed. That's not the way this works. The House and Senate control the purse strings. Joe Biden cancels a defense contract that was pre-approved through appropriations and the budget, reallocates that money, and backdoors the House and the Senate, who have not proposed and passed this bill, and nobody does a damn thing. How is anyone okay with this? Fine, I'm sold. Ukraine needs to make sure that they get their piece of East Donbass, and the civil war needs to go into the way of Ukraine, and Russia needs to lose. Fine. Okay. The Black Sea, great. We have to make sure that it's completely dominated by America and Ukraine, and Russia can no longer have access to the Black Sea. Okay, fine. That's good too. Great. Now what? Do you think Putin's not going to do this again? Do you think that Putin is not going to do this again in 5 years? Do you think if we take Putin out that there's somebody else who's going to come in power and not going to do the same thing? There's no end to this. This conflict will remain in perpetuity if we don't figure out how to stop it. And here's the other thing. Joe Biden supposedly right before the show negotiated a peace ceasefire between Hamas and Israel and the release of all the hostages. Why isn't that happening with Ukraine? Why haven't we negotiated a ceasefire in Ukraine and Russia when America's involvement is 10 times more from a financial standpoint and a logistical standpoint? We've got carriers over there too, thank you very much. We've got U.S. soldiers over there too. You might pretend they're not, but they are. Explain to me what we could do to go ahead and stop these forever wars. Because I'm telling you right now, Russia and Ukraine is going to be in Afghanistan. And you're not going to see an end to this until somebody says, enough. It ends now. Either you have to put sanctions on Russia that ultimately cripple that country, or you have to go ahead and negotiate some sort of peace deal, because you're not going to get this through force. Ukraine cannot destroy Russia. They haven't even done an offensive yet. You going to bed, bud? Yeah. Hey, have Miss Davis, if she comes talks to you, have her call me.
Okay.
All right? I love you, pal. Don't take any crap from people. Anybody does that again, you defend yourself. Got it? Larry Scott, ban him. Ban Larry Scott right now. Get him out of here. You know what? Where's it at? Where is it at? Where is it? Show me. Show me. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Here it is.
Get him out. Ready? Are you ready? Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get the hell out of here.
You're fired.
Get him out of there. Get him out. Wanted to say thanks to everybody for a good show. This is not the first. This isn't the last time that we're going to hear. The United States government is going to do what they always do, which is they are going to find a way. But when they tell you that they're broke, I'm telling you right now, the DOD has a slush fund. Go look at the misappropriation. $6.2 trillion in the last 20 years has been missing from the DOD and the Department of Defense. If you're telling me that they don't have coffers, if they don't have money that's there for rainy days, you're crazy. You're crazy. Defense is single-handedly the largest investment that this government makes. They are not going to allow a depression or a recession to weaken our overall ability to fund the military. So if we're going to sit here and pretend that they don't have a slush fund to help Ukraine when it's in the billions, give me a break. Give me a break. You could fund the rest of this freaking conflict for the next 20 years for $750 billion. So you might as well just go ahead and do it. And why don't you go ahead and cut some of these other, if Ukraine is the most important thing in the world and it's going to stop World War III and Vladimir Putin's going to invade the entire world and we're going to trade nukes in the middle of the night. If it's that important, then why are you giving money to anything else? If it's single-handedly the most important thing that the United States can do is invest in Ukraine, then you should have all the funding you need. Because you would cut after-school programs, you would cut school lunches, you would cut vouchers, you would cut the teachers' unions, you would cut overall public school funding. If it was truly this serious, wouldn't we do what we did in World War II and literally put a 20% bottle on government spending and redirect it towards the fulfillment of plastics and high-value military equipment? Because that's what we did in World War II. We even sold bonds. Invest in the United States. Give us your money so we can have war bonds. If this is truly the most important thing, can I black out my face and wear a fishbowl helmet and go outside and go ahead and run night watch and make sure the whole neighborhood blacks out so we don't get bombed by Russia? Can I have a coastal watch? Can we have a tire marathon, a collect-a-thon? Should we do that? Should we start saving our newspapers? I mean, because if this is the big bang and we're all going to die in World War III because of Russia, shouldn't we be doing everything and should they have plenty of money? Because everything would be rediverted to this task. No. This is you want your cake and you want it too. You want Americans to go ahead and continue to pay taxes for a frivolous frickin' war that we should not even be involved in. We've done our part. Kyiv is still standing. They've got the weaponry. Let them do what they can do. Because you've got a 60-pound anorexic kid fighting a frickin' 300-pound gorilla. Nothing's going to change that because war isn't something that creates more people. They're getting annihilated. You think they're going to be able to rebuild and build an army that's going to be able to stand Russia? No, everything they have is going to get thrown to the front line. Every man, woman, and child is going to get thrown to the front line. And when that happens, you can't build an army to sustain. Vladimir Putin can pull back. He can lick his chops for a year. He'll come back next year and he'll finish the job. They're drafting women. They're drafting elderly. They're arresting people in Poland and other countries who fled Ukraine and sending them back to fight. If this is truly the World War II axis of evil of our time, then why are we even questioning the money? Why don't we just cut 20% of government spending and send it to Ukraine? Well, they know why, because they don't want to do that because it isn't as important as they're saying. Give me a break. They don't believe this shit. They simply want to go ahead and slowly dwindle Russia's resource so Russia becomes less of an influence in the global theater and we're not going to have to fight them. And it's one less super enemy that we have to focus on. It's the same thing we did in the Cold War. This isn't about Ukraine. The United States doesn't give a flying shit about Ukraine. Nobody in the government cares about Ukraine. They just want Russia completely dwindled down to nub. So they run a proxy. We've done this against governments all over the place. Give me a break. Found $300 million under the cushion. Folks, I'm not leaving until we have 100 likes. I've got 80. We had 160 people on at one point. Go out, come back in, throw me a like, please. I need 20. I need 20 push-ups. Do it. Do your push-ups. Do the work. We can't have an 80-like show. This show was too damn good for 80. The people need to get out and do their push-ups. I want to see that thing spam. Let's go. I got a hockey game. I got the Calgary Flames and the Avs playing. We've got our new lineup. We're ready to go. I need 80 likes. Come on, people. There's one. Donald, you're a good man. There's one. Just admit it. You're going to get embarrassed because I'm going to see your face. Why isn't there a call for a ceasefire movement for Russia and Ukraine? Donnie, that's a great question. I don't know. But what I do know is you should get out and like the show. No, I got to go. All right, 89. Oh, Angie, I can't believe you, Angie. You dog. You took that long to like the show? You guys. Hi, Adeline. You say hello every time. Gary. Nice to Gary. You haven't been here before. You're okay. All right. Well, you may have been here, but I haven't seen you. Rose, thank you for your like. All right, let's do Veteran Crisis Hotline. If I don't get some likes for this, nothing's going to do it. Dial 988 and press 1. Veteran Crisis Hotline, something. Debbie, I'm ashamed. Veteran Crisis Hotline, 988, press 1 for overall for 3 years. 3 years. I've been talking about the Veteran Crisis Line. Jason Wixom, my brother. 22 veterans commit suicide a day. It's way too many. Anxiety, depression, TBI, PTS are all very real. And it starts with a phone call. It's 100% free to all veterans. But more importantly, if you know a veteran who's struggling, who's having a hard time, and you can't get through to them, and they won't make that call, you can actually call the Veteran Crisis Hotline, give them their name and number anonymously, and they will make that call for you free of charge. It's not just for veterans. If you are struggling with depression, anxiety, the things that I talked about, there is help. And I know it seems hopeless, but I will tell you, my mom said it best. There's nothing you can't do with a roof over your head and a great attitude. I believe that more than anything else. And I've been there. I've been on the edge of the bed. I've had that gun in my hand. And I know a lot of people who didn't make it out. You have the ability. You just have to make the choice. Tomorrow will be better. And if it doesn't, the next day and the next day, it's worth hanging on. And remember, if you take your own life, you don't solve the problem. You just transfer that pain to somebody else. And I know you don't want to do that. Call the Veteran Crisis Hotline. Get onto the path of recovery. You will be fine. Thanks for liking the Don't Unfriend Me show. 102 took you all long. No, 97. Are you shitting me? Carrie Ramon. What? Hiya. Kelly. You're all right, Kelly. You're good. We're almost there. Keep it up. Keep spamming that sucker. Keep spamming it. We're not there. Keep doing more push-ups. You're welcome, Tammy. Love you too. Don't yell at me. Matt was working, and then the kids hit me with homework. I don't care. It's unacceptable. 97. Come on, people. This show is worth 100 likes before I go. Once again, last thing, and then I am going no matter what. If you have not had a chance, please go to linktapgo/thedumbshow. You can see it right there in the link. You can click it. That allows you to find us on social media, allows you to find us on our podcast. Ivy, thank you. It allows you to find us on our website, but most importantly, it allows you to donate. Olivia's not here. The reason why Olivia needs a new liver. I didn't want to tell you. Olivia has her liver growing outside of her left knee, and we need to get that thing reassigned. If you could do us a favor and help us with a small donation, it could go to helping Olivia have a liver that lives a healthy lifestyle outside of the left knee of her Levi's. Please, let's find Olivia her liver, and let's make liver great again, okay? Just for Liv. Just a simple donation helps. Next, I'm going to have a starving child with a hamburger and be Sally Struthers. For 12 cents a day, you can save a life in Africa. Even though it's a fucking desert, nothing grows here. Send us your money. Just give it all to us. For 12 cents a day, you can save a life. Remember Sally Struthers? Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching The Dumb Show. 7 o'clock tomorrow, I'll be on at night. And remember, we'll have a recorded show too. And you can love me, you can hate me. You can agree, you can disagree. Just don't unfriend me. Good night, everybody. Sally Struthers, give me 12 cents a day. Nothing grows here. My hair isn't this frizzy in the States, but it is here because of why? It's dry. Get me out of here. Good night, everybody.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Politics, military analysis, and election.
Wait a second. Loretta, I'm kidding. There's nothing wrong with Olivia. You guys, you've got to be trolling me right now, right? You're kidding, Loretta. Is this like the time that I post about my 3-year-old under her locked door who was on a hunger strike because Joe Biden said illegal immigration? Is this the same thing? You guys are trolling me, right? You're kidding. I still need 3 likes from you people. Will you guys hurry up? Stop screwing around. Stop pulling my Laria. Go like something. Olivia's fine. She has no problem. There's echo. Hold on.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels. At The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.